Well, it's another time to look ahead to this one, and I would like to say a very big welcome to all of our friends who are watching us from all over the world. We've got just about 4 hours to go for a game which passes to be a final of the Africa Cup of Nations, one of the biggest confederations you can get in world football under FIFA, and this is how we build up to the first semi-final game of AFCON 2023 being hosted by CoteD'voire. CoteD'voire themselves have come to the party, and they are in the last 4. But today, the focus, obviously, is on the Bafana Bafana of South Africa and the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Who will prevail? Who gets to get that first ticket into the final? That is what we're trying to break down over here. There's some good news for the Super Eagles in the sense that the reigning African Footballer of the Year by CAF, Victor Osimhen, has been, confirmed to have trained with the side, and he's overcome an initial health scare to be ready for this game. So it's all guns blazing, all talents on board as the two sides come together to see who will make it into this very big final. Well, so we cannot have this conversation without Stone because his Nigerian blood, his green, white, green blood is boiling so high this afternoon. And of course, I don't know what Victor Achutamakulu is going to be telling us this afternoon. I know he has quite a number of friends in South Africa, and he also has some admiration for a lot of things South African. We'll talk about all of that. A lot of it off air. Stone, why are you laughing? I'm not getting it.
You know, when you said a lot of things South Africa, some thoughts occurred in my brain.
Yeah.
I just like...
I'm sure the thoughts are MTN, who are our sponsor.
Yeah,
MTN, everywhere you
of
go.
Course, 100%.
So everywhere you go, Victor Achutamakulu is thinking about a lot of things South Africa. We'll leave it there for now. I know Stone wants to get into the details, but we'll leave it there for now.
He will be disappointed if he tries.
Guys, good to have you here. Good to have you here.
Yeah.
Look, a fixture I'm not sure we were exactly expecting, especially because of what happened in AFCON 2021. Nigeria came into the tournament. Yeah. They were a highly rated side. We were all looking forward to them. And then the big surprise happened. They bundled out. Now, Nigeria came, started on a not so good footing, same as South Africa. And then we find both of them here in the last 4.
Look, one of the things that I have loved about both teams is how progressive or the positive reactionary stuff that we have seen from both coaches. So Nigeria did not start the tournament in a manner that they would have liked to, in terms of the results that they got against Equatorial Guinea and in terms of the injury that the team suffered. But the reaction since then has been brilliant. And as the show progresses, we're going to explain to you what has served Nigeria so well and how central to that was the reaction to the injury Alassane Youssef suffered. On Monday, we explained a bit of that, but particularly in relation to today's game, because the one thing that has served Nigeria so well could also be something that South Africa could capitalize on.
Wow, that's interesting. Now tell me, whether you like it or not, the Super Eagles are here. And you were telling me about how important getting to this stage of the competition is. Of course, we were discussing off air the geopolitical issues, the issues beyond the football pitch, and all of that.
Yeah, and the thing about this is, aside the football, Nigerians...
Issues of diplomacy and all.
Yeah, Nigerians know how important this game is. And South Africans know how important this game is. And it is a game that, coming into this competition, both teams were underdogs. Nobody thought, Nigeria will be in the last 4. I did not think that. Many Nigerians did not think that. But now we're in the final 4. We have not lost a game. And then you have South Africa, who, by the time they played and they got absolutely humiliated by Mali, where, it was as if South Africa did not know what they were doing. All of a sudden, people, including myself, thought that they were going to be out. Now they're in the semi-final. In fact, I famously said South Africa came to the AFCON for an excursion alongside Cameroon and some other countries.
You've had to eat humble amala.
Well, they have come to my page and pushed ahead, but at the end of the day, it's football, it's banter and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, we're having a nice time. It's South Africa, Nigeria. We're going to see what happens.
All right, who gets to eat the humble eba or the pap? Well, we'll get to figure all of that out. You stay right there. We'll take a message from our sponsors. And after that, we get down to the figures. Of course, later on, Adamu Ben Karimo is going to be here as well with some very, very interesting figures and what's to know as we build up to this game. 4 hours to go. It sure will be something that will get the whole continent talking. This is AFCON Today. My name is Nathaniel Attok. Conversations continue after this round of messages. Thank you for staying with us. Once again, you don't want to know what we're discussing off air. I mean, but greetings to everybody who's listening to us through Joy 99.7 FM and watching us on Joy Prime or on 281 on DSTV and also following us on YouTube. Thank you so much for making this the number one when it comes to looking ahead to the games, breaking down all of the facts and figures, and of course, looking at the high moments and the not so high moments as well. Gentlemen, it's game day. Now, Osimhen gave us a bit of a scare. He's already okay. I mean, even if he feels a little bit of the after pain and all of that, he would keep it and want to play out of, the patriotism and knowing what time it is.
What I would say is this. If you've been to Lagos before,
of course I have.
People that sell gala, right? And they sell gala on traffic.
What is gala?
Gala, it's meat and sausage, like flour and sausage, that they sell. Yeah. It looks like sausage, on the traffic in Lagos. And these guys can run. They literally keep up with moving cars. Yeah. And that is why Osimhen used to do that. And when when he had that game, CAF had to take him and check him. And we Nigerians, we understand it because gala sellers and everything. But we're looking at the situation whereby he has this pain. This pain is not going to stop him. He's a Lagos boy. He cannot stop. It's not possible. When you've sold gala in traffic, you've been hit by cars sometimes. You're hit by humans. You're pushed around. Osimhen has the strength of 10 men. There is no way that a sickness is an insult to him, that kind of sickness keeps him away. He is going to be a menace to Mvala today. It's going to be a one-on-one battle between Victor Osimhen and Mvala. And I want to add one more thing before we just progress at this situation. South Africa is a strong team. Nigeria is a strong team. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to this. And it's going to come down to a thing of shame. I will say it again. This is a game of shame. And the reason I'm saying this is this. Nigerians do not want to lose the battle online. And South Africans do not want to lose the battle online. In fact, what we are seeing right now is that Cameroon is behind Nigeria online. That's what we're seeing. Half of the Ghanaians are on this side, half of the Ghanaians are on the other side.
Well, you didn't expect anything else from Cameroon, did you?
Cameroon has 100%.
So one of the biggest sins I've committed is that I haven't visited Lagos in a while. However, Achu, who has a decently smooth background, doesn't have an idea, what it means to be walking in traffic, let alone run after people with traffic, with, grilled sausages. No. Achu is a smooth guy, smooth guy. Achu, yeah. Unfortunately,
I've had my fair share of hustling before.
Well, we'll talk about that another time. But, yeah. I mean,
I don't look like
Mayweather Jr. said that everybody looks at today. Nobody cares
remembers. We don't look like what we've been through.
Yeah, sure. But you haven't sold gala before.
No, I haven't.
That's the thing, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What we know...
But watch out with the analysis today. Yemi Alade, your crush, is listening. Yeah. So you have to be careful. Yeah. I know you're going to talk about South Africa. What is South Africa bringing to the table?
I think they, like Nigeria, are a team that have learned to live with the failings or the things that make them vulnerable, or their vulnerabilities, if I'm to put it that way, in the sense that the football South Africa played in the past year, pre-AFCON, was distinctly different from what we've seen at the AFCON. The manager, before the tournament started, said that he needed a striker that the rest of the attack can bounce off, someone who can be the focal point of the attack and will give them a bit of dynamism and variety going forward. Because everything else that they do with Percy Tau, with Mokoena, think of the supporting cast is relatively predictable. They like to move the ball very quickly. The biggest asset for them in that is the speed with which they move the ball, which does not always afford teams the time to regroup and close down spaces. But as I've said, they have evolved. So have Nigeria. And we're going to show you one of the things that have made Nigeria so good at this AFCON, but also within that same brilliance of Nigeria, we have seen scenarios in South Africa's matches where they have exhibited a capacity to exploit those game states when it happens. I love what Nigeria have done in this AFCON because they have obeyed one of the cardinal rules of tournament football, which is forget about style, focus on substance. Okay. So many will criticize Jose Peseiro and say that you played 5 defenders against Guinea-Bissau in a game where you were already a goal up, but you played 5 defenders. Peseiro's response will be that it got me the results to qualify. There are many who would say that in this tournament, Nigeria have got cumulatively the least percentage of possession of all the teams that have been at this AFCON. Of all 24 teams that have played matches, they've got less than 44%.
In other words, they are defying the basic logic of football, which is you are able to create a goal once you have the possession.
Well, Nigeria's strength has come from being the best and the most ruthless team in terms of turnovers. They've scored a ton of goals from turnovers. So they don't need to sustain momentum to score. But when they progress play, they quickly score. We're going to show you.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I want you to come over here. Let's have a full feel of a graphic feel of what you're talking about.
Yes. So we're going to show you one of the things that has served Nigeria so well. On Monday, we explained Alassane Yusuf, his absence, and how the team adjusted. We're going to show you what we expect Nigeria will do, which will not be to deviate from norm, which is to stay compact, close down spaces, but more importantly, the players anticipate and react. They apply themselves to any situations that they see. And in games like this, in tournament football, that is one of the most important things, which is for players to assume responsibility and not wait for the coach's instruction. Because when you see the danger, action happens in real time, split-second moments. You are not going to have the time to think about it before you react. That is one of the things that I've said in Nigeria so well. So we're going to show you, and we're going to allow this to play, right? Before we try to make sense of it. Right. This is against Guinea-Bissau. And you can see the Nigerian block of players at the back here forcing the opponents to move the ball to the other side of the pitch, because when they came down here, there was no space. That space there is blocked again. They are forced to come central. A long pass comes in here. Again, quickly they close down the space. Now, let's pause this here and try to make sense of everything that we've seen. Right from this point, when the game develops, you realize that Nigeria have how many players? 1, 2, 3, 4 of their players in the vital areas at this point. Now, what that gives them is the ability to then, what that gives them is the ability to then move and shuffle the pack while also staying within proximity of the Guinea-Bissau player. So you'd realize that even when he receives the ball in space, he quickly is closed down by the Nigerian players.
Okay, very well.
So
sure.
You're going to find that diagonal pass quickly to him. When that pass comes in, and they've tried a series of passes here, it's not worked out. So you're going to see that pass that will break the Nigerian line in the space. But even then, quickly, 1, 2, 3 players there close down the space and stops that attack. Now, this is important because you can have the perfect plan. You can have the perfect shape of the players closing down the space, and at each stage, players being able to pick out their markers. But things like we've seen Kenneth Omero do here is what gives credibility to this. The players understand it, but they can also react and sniff out danger. These are things that the shape of the team will not do for you. But when Nigeria win the ball, what do they do here? Quickly, you're able to see a synchronized, well-choreographed attacking pattern. So unlike most teams who would want to progress play and hoof it clear, when they win the ball, they know that we quickly have to switch. So when we want to switch, 2 things come into play. They need to find the nearest player in space, but that happens because of 2 things. the movement of the ball to create the space and offer themselves as passing outlets or options for the player in possession to locate them with the pass. And the player in possession also has to show that presence of mind to find the space, but also the quality to play that pass. Right weight, right technique, and it goes into his teammate. So within a split second, Nigeria could have chosen to go long. They've got the men, Chukwueze, Osimhen. They've got the pace, they've got the strength to hold onto the ball. But they think, and they play the ball gradually. The beautiful thing about this also is that you get to see players quickly. So how many players do we have for Nigeria in the opponent's third now? 7, in a matter of 3 seconds. And it's one of the things that have served Nigeria well now. Now, we're going to show you the second video and try to make sense of, okay. And this is where I think South Africa can profit from this. Zaidu Sanusi has to step out of his zone to make that interception, but he's not the problem. The problem, as I identified, was the young man who's been re-educated to become a holding midfielder in Alex Iwobi. Now, after Nigeria's first match, one of the things that Jose Peseiro did was to introduce Alex Iwobi and Frank Onyeka. So Alassane Yusuf was no longer available, so he needed to reshuffle the pack. So he goes for a back 3 with bank of 4 in front of that back 3 with 2 holding midfielders. So he will do Frank Onyeka, Alex Iwobi instead of Alassane Yusuf. Unfortunately for Alex Iwobi, he does not have the instinct of a holding midfielder. And so when he has to sniff danger, it will not occur to him naturally. He will react late. And in this short clip, you're going to see him struggle to pick out his marker and struggle to block out the space. So there is an instance where he's caught in 2 minds, whether to commit himself or to stop the pass. Now, this is Alex Iwobi. Now, check him. He is caught in no man's land. At this point, Iwobi makes the wrong decision because from the moment the opponent had the ball, he had no business trying to go after that player because Zaidu Sanusi had the player picked out, right? Sanusi had tracked the player, had followed him, and so all he had to do was to pick out this young man here. But Iwobi went here, vacating the space in this area. He went after the player who had already been marked by Sanusi, vacating the space in this area, and ultimately, this is where the pass would come from. The pass that will break the line and stretch Nigeria's defense. So when we press play, this is what you're going to see. And that's exactly where the danger comes from. In fact, we can go back and identify one other thing. Now, how is he not able to stop that pass? A betting man will tell you that for a natural holding midfielder, their instincts will be right. And they'll quickly close in there and either force the opponent to choose a safer option, which would have been this player here or this option here, or be able to block the pass when the player attempts to make that pass. But he fails to. So in one action shot, he's caught in no man's land, unable to process the action around him and respond appropriately as to which zone he has to stay in, which space he has to occupy. When the action actually happens and he was not able to anticipate it, he couldn't stop the pass either. But if you swap roles and you throw in Frank Onyeka here, he quickly deals with this. Or if you throw in Alassane Yusuf, who we're all hoping, or Nigerians, I have to say, are hoping that he'll be available for this one, he sniffs out this, right? And so the defense is exposed. But again, you see one of the beautiful things about Nigeria's defense, which I have said is the application. So see what happens here in this situation. Who steps up? Troost-Ekong.
And Troost-Ekong has intercepted quite a number of these situations.
Exactly. So in the previous video that we showed you, it was Kenneth Omerio who was doing that. It was Zaidu Sanusi. It was Ola Aina who did all of it. Each member of the Nigerian defense is screwed on. They can sniff the danger when they see it. And at the end of the video, you saw Troost-Ekong essentially showing his players or telling his teammates, get closer to them. And he was referring to Alex Iwobi because he was the one who could not stop that pass. He was the one who could not pick out the threat in the first place. But if you go back to South Africa's match versus Morocco, this short clip is important because that half space, that space between the left centre-back and then the left full-back, or in the case of Nigeria, the wing-back, or if you introduce it to the other end of the pitch, the space between the holding midfielder and the centre back, the right centre back and the right back is something South Africa have proven they can exploit. So if you go back to that match versus Morocco, the goal that Evidence Makopa scored, it was similar situation. Teboho Mokoena, I beg your pardon. It was a similar situation. Well-worked ball. They found the space, isolated the Moroccan holding midfielder, got in behind him. The passing was good. Quick one-touch movements. They were into the space. The goal was scored. And for South Africa, that is one of the things that I think will serve them well. Look, often analysts like to talk about being able to introduce variety, but also maintaining momentum. It is very easy to disrupt the flow of the team, the team's momentum in search of variety, right? And in a game like this, you're not going to dominate Nigeria. It won't happen. If it happens, it's because Nigeria are comfortable and they want to concede possession. And that is what they've done so far in this tournament. They've conceded how many goals? Just 2. All competition in the 5 matches, is it, that they've played so far. So far, they've conceded the most possession of all the teams remaining at the AFCON. They have been able to average only 44% from the matches that they've, which tells you one thing: Nigeria don't care about ball possession. So if that is what South Africa wants, they will let them have the ball. The most important thing for South Africa is how they deal with Nigeria's turnovers, because it is the only way Nigeria have scored their goals at this AFCON. Think of every single goal that is scored at this tournament. Even the first goal against Equatorial Guinea, right against the round of play, immediately after they conceded, they replied fire with fire. Game against Guinea-Bissau, the same. Against Cameroon, it was the same.
Now, Stone, you know this idea of sitting back, Achu, thanks so much. This idea of sitting back, you know, and doing the counter and also having a very high turnover, it could work. It's worked so far. But what else would you want to see the Super Eagles do, considering the strengths that the South Africans can have, according to the analysis that, that Victor has given us?
Well, one of the first things I want to look at, because that was a brilliant analysis of the entire situation. Me, myself, I won't be starting Alex Iwobi, and I won't, personally, a second person that I won't start is Zaidu Sanusi, because he's not, when he overlaps, he doesn't return very, very often like that. So I won't start him, but what other option do you have? You have to play him. But one of the things that's going to be essential for Nigeria is the fact that South Africa makes mistakes. Very, very important. If you watch their game against Mali, it was as if South Africa were not in the game, because Mali, they had the strength, they had the agility, they were able to pounce on the mistakes of South Africa in the midfield. And South Africa makes a lot of mistakes in the midfield, because Mokoena, for example, who happens to be their best midfielder, and Zwane, who is very great in the midfield and everything, Mokoena is not a ball possession midfielder. He's a kind of a Frank Lampard. He wants to shoot the ball from outside the box. So he's not the one. He might make some passes that might not be actually very, very direct to his player. So in that situation, and then South Africa also have a situation whereby their left and right back like to overlap. Morocco should have scored up to 4 goals. They didn't. Mali had a field day with their left back and right back and midfield mistakes. They had a field day. It was so amazing for Mali. Mali were like, oh, you've set a table before me. This is wonderful. I'm going to eat all those biscuits and all this chicken and everything. It was amazing for Mali. So what Nigeria needs to do is very simple. I would like Alassane Yusuf to start alongside Frank Onyeka. Alassane Yusuf is a defensive midfielder. And then Frank can do the box-to-box dirty job. He's very great at that. In fact, one of my guys calls him Frank the Tank. That's the guy you want there. But what I want Nigeria to do is don't play so much short passes to convert. That thing where, the short passes we're trying to convert to attack, it might not be the best at that situation. It's not every time I want to see that. I want to see long balls. The reason I want to see long balls is because South Africa left and right back, they're up front. Yeah. They're going up for attack. So
what in effect you want to do is to see a lot more varying the game.
I want to see a lot varying, because first of all, you have Mvala, who is one of the best centre-backs at the AFCON. Mvala, Ekong, those are the 2 guys that are the best. And then you have Osimhen, who is fast. Mvala, the last time he dealt with a fast striker, there was a problem. The last time he dealt with Mali, there was a problem. That was one of his poorest games that he had. So Osimhen is going to give him problems. But you see the left and right back, we need Simon in this game. This is where we need speed. This is where we need accuracy. We don't need Chukwueze dribbling and going to the corner.
Because you know, Moses Simon has strength.
Yes.
He's got good anticipation and calculation as well, and he does brilliant distribution when, you know, and he's not afraid to bring the game to you. That's one of the things I like about him, and it becomes very crucial at a time like this.
He is, but I think the bigger worry for Nigeria will be Victor Osimhen. He drinks deep or he drinks not. All action style that we've seen at this AFCON is what has provided the energy for the Nigerian team. I shudder at the thought of how fit Victor Osimhen in this game. The reality is, if he's not in the condition to properly apply himself, it will affect how much he can give to the team. And this is information South Africa will have. This is the information the South African defenders and midfielders will be given. In the first 15 minutes, I will not be surprised if you see 2 or 3 fouls on Victor Osimhen, because they will be told that go and test this guy and see how fit he is and see if he is in the right condition to play his usual high-octane football. So you will see them attempt to test where they have been told Osimhen is hurting. If it's a thigh strain, if it's a muscle injury, if it's a back strain, whatever it is, that is where the focus will go. Ostensibly to get an understanding of the physical condition of this guy. If it works after the first or second attempt, the motivation will be to get him off the pitch as quickly as possible. And that is my fear for Nigeria, because as good as Nigeria have looked on the turnovers, it is all, I don't want to say thanks in no small part, because it is all down to Victor Osimhen. And if he is not able to contribute to this game, I'm not even talking about a situation where he gets injured, but if he's not able to be himself and drag the team over the line the way he has done, it's difficult to look at this team and figure out how else they are going to fashion out goals, because as Osimhen has proven, he can make the sort of runs that will drag opponents out of position. The goal against Angola showed us why he's a world-class striker. In that situation, he knew that he needed to vacate the central spot in the penalty area. The only way to do that was to make the run and ensure that the defender would follow him. And because he's Osimhen, when he makes the run, you will follow him. He did. The space opened up, and then Ademola Lookman was able to convert it. So he brings so much to this team that Nigeria will miss out on if he's unable to contribute.
We will talk about both goalkeepers. Yesterday, I saw something funny on social media where, a Nigerian friend had put up the pictures of, Enyama and
the head.
and he talks about the shapes of the heads. And I wonder why he didn't bring in Peter Rufai, because Peter Rufai's haircut also complements the head shape as well. Anyway, that's just by the way. All right, so let's have Karim, a man with the statistics here in the studio, and he's going to, bring us some more. He started it yesterday, and we want to wrap it up as we build up to the game. Karim, good to see you.
Good to be here now.
Yeah. This smile is a mischievous one.
It's not.
He's always smiling at me. Like, I don't know. What's? Come on.
He missed you on the show yesterday.
Yeah.
Big, come on now.
Yeah.
Do your analysis, bro.
We missed you. We missed you on the show.
Yes.
Though. Yeah.
This looks complex, but it is simple.
Okay.
You're anticipating it. I like it.
Well, I'm anticipating because, I want to see what you want to say.
The American football coach, Bill Walsh, he says that it is a given when the stakes are high and competition is fighting ferociously to beat you. And if you let it beat you, it means you are dreaming. Dreamers don't last. Looks complex, but simply what I'm saying is that this game is a game of high stakes. And it is going to be determined by margins. Who is going to win it is going to be determined by margins. And though Nigeria, I see them have the edge because of how tight their defense is, though they are fallible sometimes. But if you're looking at chances, big chances each team has conceded, Nigeria has conceded just 3 big chances in the competition. And South Africa has conceded 11, as many as 11. If you are conceding 11 chances and in 2 games, South Africa considered four big chances in 2 games. That is against Mali and Morocco. If you are giving Nigeria 4 chances in a game, even though in this tournament, Osimhen doesn't score, but one will definitely fall to a different player that will convert it. Hopefully, that will be Lookman.
Look very well.
Yeah.
That's our guy.
So
let's
I see you've got here the last 5
the
meetings
last
of
5
the 2
meetings.
sides.
Let me look at it overall first.
Very well.
Overall, Nigeria and South Africa, they've met 14 times. And Nigeria's head-to-head against South Africa is really impressive. In those 14 times, they've won half of them. That is 7. 5 ended in draws, and 2 went the way of South Africa. And this is the last 5. The last 5, Nigeria and South Africa have played. South Africa, Nigeria won 1. No, they didn't win any. They won 1. South Africa won 1. And this is the beginning of it in 2014. This was a 2015 AFCON qualifier. South Africa, Nigeria had to come from behind to draw it. And this one too was just after the 2015. The second one was just after the 2015 AFCON. And it ended in draw. It was a friendly. Then these 2 are 2019 AFCON qualifiers. And South Africa came to Nigeria in Uyo. You better help me pronounce it well. Is it Uyo?
Uyo.
Uyo. And,
Uyo.
and beat Nigeria 2-0. It means that when Nigeria is meeting South Africa, even at their own backyard, they were able to beat them. And then in the reverse leg, Nigeria had to come from behind again to draw. Then this was at the 2019 AFCON. That was the quarterfinal. Nigeria won 2-1. This game, Samuel Chukwueze scored in that game. Then let's go to the form of both teams. This is Nigeria's form. This is at the AFCON. In those 5 games, they've considered just 1 goal. That's how tight their defense is. Considered just 1 goal, scored 5. In each game, they are scoring. No matter what it is, they will find a way of scoring that goal in those 5 games. So let's move to South Africa's. In 5 games for South Africa too, they conceded 2 goals. And they are conceding big chances, really big chances. It's because of how big their goalkeeper, Rowan Williams, have come up for them. In those 5 games, they've lost 1. That was their opening game, and conceded all those 2 goals against Mali, where they considered 4 chances. It means that Mali made use of the 2 of the 4 chances South Africa conceded. In the second one, they bounced back and won against Namibia 4-0, and then against Tunisia, they drew goalless, and then the round of 16 game against Morocco, which they won 2-0, and then the final one, which was against Cape Verde, and then they won that in extra time. The head-to-head favors Nigeria, and Nigeria has the edge, but this is more than a game. It's going to take margins to determine who wins it.
All right, so there we go. Mali beating South Africa, losing 2-0 to Mali, and then they beat Namibia by 4-0. And then South Africa and Tunisia
drawing goalless, and then winning 2-0 against Morocco,
and then Cape Verde.
Cape Verde.
Okay, well, guys, we need to start wrapping up now, and so we're going to take final thoughts.
Yeah. I think South Africa deserve a bit more credit than we've actually given them.
Okay.
I think when they lost to Mali in that opening game, the assumption was that this was a team that had still not been able to shed off its bad habits, which was to lose the games that you expect them to lose. So against Mali, we expected they would lose. It happened. But against Tunisia, I think they showed a certain resilience and discipline that was uncommon as far as South Africa at the AFCON in recent times was concerned. But against Morocco, they upped the ante. They stayed in the games. So yes, they conceded the chances that Stone has mentioned. But as the game evolved, they managed the game better. And they showed a certain understanding of the real game state scenarios. And that is one of the things I love about, that's one of the things by which I rate coaches. It's not so much about how you start a game, but your capacity to adjust. And it's one thing Hugo Bruce has done so well in this particular tournament. So yes, people are quick to remind us of how dubious the call-ups to Mokoena, to Boho, Ethan Brooks are. But I'll always say, when you look at the body of work and the football that they have played, and most importantly, because it's a tournament scenario, the results that football has produced, you cannot question the method.
Stone?
I'm going to give my final thoughts on both teams. And the first thing I'm going to say is that South Africa have picked the crop of players. If you look at the starting lineup against Cape Verde, I think 8 of them were from the Sundowns, and then the remaining 3 in the starting 11 were from other teams. So 8 people that knew themselves, that knew how to pass, that knew how they ran, that knew everything about themselves. And they have one of the best centre-backs at the AFCON this year, who is Mvala. I want to see that battle between Mvala and, of course, Victor Osimhen. Whether Osimhen is going to be able to drag him away from the centre, or Mvala is going to be able to stop him. Of course, like he said, the first few minutes of the game is going to be important because South Africa will want to test if Osimhen is fit or not. If you're a defender, you want to check out, is this guy fit? They said he's fit, but I got to know if he's fit. So it's going to be important. That's going to be important. South Africa play very high-octane attacking football. They are not one to sit back and enjoy. No, they are going to attack you. They are going to come at you. Mokoena is good with free kicks, with corner kicks. Corner kicks, very important for South Africans. You have to be careful about corner kicks and free kicks, and then they know how to win all those free kicks around the box. They know how to do that. They are very good with that and all those kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, you have to look at Nigeria and look at the weaknesses of the South Africans. And the question is, will Nigeria have chances? The answer is yes. They're going to have chances. The left back and the right back of South Africa are going to overlap. We're going to have mistakes in the midfield of South Africa. These are things that are going to happen. But the question is Nigeria going to convert their chances? And as South Africa goes to convert it, they're going to get 1 or 2 chances against Nigerian defense. You could see the Angolans and how they got that one-on-one chance that hit the bar. That kind of chance, evidence can be in between the lines. That's the kind of chance he got against Morocco and actually was able to score against Morocco. So he can be in between the lines like that and be able to progress and actually get that kind of chance. Maybe if Nigerian defense sleeps for a second or sleeps for a minute. But that's going to be a problem for Nigeria, how they are able to handle evidence, how they're able to handle Mvala, who can shoot from outside the box. And the Nigerian goalkeeper, the match that he was really tested was the Angola match. And you won't say really, really tested, but he was able to get down for that quick, stop to Mabululu and, and all those kind of stuff. So we're going to really see a situation where Nigeria sits back, South Africa tries to break the lines, and then Nigeria tries to counter them, changing in between short passes and long passes, trying to see what they can do against the South African defense. But it's going to be an exciting game end to end. But you're picking South Africa?
Yeah.
You're picking South Africa.
Money's on South Africa.
All right, so let's just do a message from our sponsors, and after that we come back to look at DR Congo and the host Cote d'Ivoire as well. We're still here on AFCON Today live on Joy News and Joy Prime, and also on your superstation Joy 99.7 FM. Well, it's time to take a look at the hosts of the competition. Well, at a certain point, we thought that, they probably were going to exit, and the fans were also going to stay away. In fact, at a certain point, the fans were very, very angry. But what has happened? A story of recovery, which probably will end well. We'd never know. And they are coming up against a side who have tasted victory at the AFCON on 2 occasions and know what it means to win the tournament as well. DR Congo, obviously a new generation, but another game that everybody must savor.
2 teams that tell brilliantly the story of quality, talents, development, and football education. So when you point to the guys making the names for DR Congo, from Masuaku to Waisa to even Cedric Bakambu, the wasteful Cedric Bakambu, a lot of these players either went to France very early, or Belgium, or the Netherlands, or wherever they found themselves in Europe where they had access to high-quality facilities. But even more importantly, players or people who had experienced football at the elite level and had the right ideas for the modern era. If you look at Ivory Coast, the same. In fact, even for those who had their education in Ghana, it was at world-class facilities. An example was the young man who scored the leveler for them against, in the recent match that they played, Simon Adingra. Adingra was educated at the Right to Dream Academy here in Ghana. So you see two teams that have directly benefited from high-quality education, irrespective of where that education happened. Hopefully, we take cues from this. And I like to highlight these things because as fans, we love the football, but also as stakeholders of the sport, we are interested in, but more importantly, obliged to share and draw people's attention to these things that we need to look at and see if we can create more of these establishments like Right to Dream, or even create an enabling environment for more of the Right to Dreams to come here and then excel. I think this game is important in many ways because this perhaps is going to be the biggest test for Ivory Coast till this point, not because of the stage of the competition, but also this is one game where they will be required to think out of the box and be a bit different, because as DR Congo showed us in the last game, I think they're peaking. And they are going to beat Ivory Coast into submission. They are going to attempt to dominate them. The problem for me will be, do Ivory Coast adjust to that and say, we're going to concede possession and allow them to dominate the game, which will be a very difficult thing to do, because when you're the host nation and you're playing that kind of football, the atmosphere, the energy in the stadium, the demands of the fans can force you to abandon the game plan. The coach can tell the players, we stay in this zone. We don't commit forward. We stay in this space and protect the ship or protect our box. But if players get the ball and the fans are urging them on to make that 50-meter dash, to go forward, to attack, they can be conflicted. So that is one thing I'm looking out for, how Ivory Coast stay to the plan. Because in the two matches that they played against Senegal and the quarterfinal match, they showed a lot of desire, but also discipline. But in all of these things that we say about the shape of the team, all of the technical nonsense that we try to talk about, the most important thing for Ivory Coast for me has been the game management from MS Fire. The substitutions that he's made and the impact of those. They've won him every single game since he took charge of the final game, of the round of 16 match for Ivory Coast. And I think that if they are going to progress, it is going to be a similar card of Fire, noticing a trend and responding appropriately with a substitution that will be the game changer.
For everyone on the streets of Abidjan, in Boaké, and all the other cities and all the other towns, there are a few things that they'll be saying. One of them being 1992, 2015, and 2024.
Yeah, and one of the things that you have to really look at is I felt that the coach, MS Fai, made him a mistake last match, putting Seri, Kessie, and Fofana, which was an error because there's no defensive midfielder there. Seri requires the ball, Kessie requires the ball, and you need Sangare there to be able to win the possession for you. So if you play Sangare and you play Seri and you play Fofana, you have a situation whereby everything is balanced. But this team, this Cote d'Ivoire team, has been unassuming. Has been a team that people look at and say, Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal, that's the end of their AFCON. Oh, they beat Senegal. Oh, Cote d'Ivoire, Mali, that's the end of their AFCON. Oh, they won? Okay. Cote d'Ivoire, DR Congo, many people are saying this is the end of their AFCON because you have a DR Congo team that has matured at this AFCON. It was a maturing process. They were going on. We used to talk about, they miss lots of chances. They create a lot of chances, they miss everything. But you have Maswaku, who is the best, people say is the best left back at this competition. He can shoot, he can score, he can defend, he can do everything, and he also has pace. So you have a situation whereby this DR Congo team, you have Wisatu. Both of them, they have developed, they have matured, and now Cote d'Ivoire have to play at that level. This is not a game you come in and say, like he said, I want to sit back, because you have the 13th man, who is the fan. The fans are going to urge you on. And you have a situation whereby you have to play Sebastian Haller. That is the game changer. He has to be there, and he has to step up. And one of the major things I have to look at in Cote d'Ivoire is that, aside the substitution, which have been absolutely amazing. I mean, this has been I think the best game management in terms of this AFCON, the best game management by any coach at this AFCON is CoteD'Ivoire. But one of the things is that the players that we laughed at the group stage, like Pepe and all those guys, they have turned up at the knockout stages. So the CoteD'Ivoire players have also matured and are maturing and are growing in this AFCON. So we have a CoteD'Ivoire team that is maturing in the AFCON. We have a DR Congo team that is maturing in this AFCON. They scored 3 goals in their last match. Normally, they'll miss lots of chances and all this kind of stuff. Now we have DR Congo, an attacking team, and CoteD'Ivoire, who is very stubborn and very resilient, and they have the fans behind them, and they have everybody, the country behind them and everything. And now they must show up. This is not a match of underdogs anymore. I'm not sure anybody on the street of Abidjan or Cote d'Ivoire people would actually think that, oh, I want to go there and watch my team pack the box. No, this is you are Cote d'Ivoire. When people mention Cote d'Ivoire in African football, you're part of the giants. So we don't want to come here and see Cote d'Ivoire packing the box and DR Congo attacking, and then you now win via counter-attack. Wonderful. You won the game, you progress to the finals. But at what cost? I mean, we're looking at you. Are you a superpower or not? So I want to see Cote d'Ivoire dominate this game. They have the midfield to dominate it. They have the attack to dominate it. They have the defense to dominate it. Their goalkeeper has been tested. He's an averagely good goalkeeper. Might not be excellent, but averagely good. So I want to see Fofana impose himself on this game. Fofana has to stop the DR Congo midfield. He has to stop it. He has to end it. They cannot progress in the midfield. And then Sangare has to be there. All those runs of Masuaku and all those things, they have to be stopped. And Sangare is the guy to do it. You don't bench Sangare in this game. He has to play, but Fofana has to be there too. I think that if they impose themselves on this game, if they mature, if they show that resilience, they should be able to, this should be a walkover for them. As big as they are, as the name of them, the way the players are maturing. Pepe, Fofana, who to many people, is the best midfielder at this AFCON. Fofana, to many people. Now, some people is top 3, but he has been amazing at this AFCON. And I'm looking at the situation whereby Kessie comes off from the bench and maybe scores the 3rd goal and the match ends 3-0.
3-0. Okay, so Stone thinks it's going to be a 3-0 situation in here.
If they impose themselves.
I think it will be closer. But I still tip La Cote d'Ivoire together. Look, for me, it doesn't matter so much how they play or how they set up. This is tournament football. This is the semi-final stage. It's the results that you're looking for. I think MS5 will be more preoccupied with managing the game and responding to the needs of the game, as opposed to approaching this with a fixed mentality that he's setting his team out there to go and attack. The results matters more.
Okay, result matters more. So it looks like it's overwhelmingly Cote d'Ivoire here. Nigeria, South Africa? I know what your answer is. So we come back to him.
My answer, but I got to still say something. I'm just,
In 10 seconds.
Yeah, 10 seconds. What I'm going to say is very simple. Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire in the finals. That's the game.
Okay, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire in the finals. Okay.
Cote d'Ivoire, South Africa final.
Cote d'Ivoire, South Africa. Crisscross. Well, we're doing some crisscrossing here. The evidence will be there on the pitch. 5 p.m. it will be. And the
evidence will be the evidence Makopa.
No. He will be stopped. He will be stopped by Calvin
to all of you for watching on YouTube, to all of our friends watching from around the world on Joy 99.7 FM and on Joy Prime 281 on DSTV. I will be back tomorrow to do a very big review and start looking ahead to the very big final. But thanks so much to Karim, thanks to Stone, and thanks to Victor Achu Tamaklo. We'll be back tomorrow. Like I said, always keep it here on the Joy Prime channel, on Joy 99.7 FM, and on all of our other channels. Well, big day it is. Big Wednesday, no doubt. Well, we'll be back. Like I said, this is like the 3rd time I'm saying this, right? Okay. My name is Nathaniel Atto, and I have love for sport.